Hello students, I welcome you all to today's session. You are going to learn a new chapter now. We completed electricity, isn't it, in your physics? Now it is second chapter in physics and the chapter's name is Magnetic Effects of Electric Current, and this is going to be your session 1. Dear students, all these are going to be the content in this chapter. I want all of you to make note of all these points in your classwork. After this, you can write your notes. So the concepts in this lesson are history of magnet, magnetic field and field lines. That is, properties of magnetic field lines, how to plot those lines, all those you will learn in this concept. Second one, magnetic effect of electric current. Magnetic field pattern due to a straight current carrying conductor. Right hand thumb rule. Dear students, you will have to play a lot with your fingers of right hand and left hand to learn few rules in this chapter. You will learn that and also enjoy them while learning. Next one, magnetic field pattern due to a circular loop carrying electric current. Force on current carrying conductor placed in a magnetic field. Based on this, you will have a law which is also called as Fleming's left hand rule for direction of force. Next one, electric motor, electromagnetic induction and Fleming's right hand rule. And the last concept in the chapter is electric generator. After that, electric fuse, domestic electric circuits and hazards of electricity. Also the safety measures while using electricity. All these are the concepts in this chapter. You will be studying one by one in different sessions. In today's session, you are going to learn only these concepts. And when you are going to learn the last concept of today, that is magnetic field of the earth, it is going to be very interesting. You will be knowing many facts about our earth which acts as a magnet. We see magnets all around us. Refrigerator stickers, refrigerator door, magnetic screws and caps, magnetic playboards and few games, pin holders, etc. For centuries, the magnetic compass has been used by the travelers for navigation purpose. Even in large scale, magnet has its applications, which includes the cranes that are used to carry scrap metals in industries and scrapyards. This is used to separate iron from all the scrap which has been collected in the dump yard, so that the iron can be used for some other purpose in industries. Have you ever wondered how this was discovered? According to the Greek legend, magnetism was first discovered by a shepherd by name Magnus. He lived in Magnesia, which is in Greece. Magnus was herding his sheep through the mountains. Suddenly he noticed the ferrule of his stick and nails in his sandals got stuck to a rock. The iron in his stick and nails had become attracted to a rock. Later, the stone or the rock which was attracting towards the iron in his sandal was named as magnetite. Soon the news spread across the country about the strange rock that had the power to pull things towards it. The Greeks later found other similar black rocks which had this power. These rocks were named as magnets after either Magnesia, where the place this was discovered, or Magnus the shepherd. There are two stories about the name magnet. And what did you learn now? you learned the history of magnet. A magnet is an object which attracts pieces of iron, steel, nickel and cobalt. Magnets come in various shapes and sizes depending on their intended use. One of the most common magnets is the bar magnet, which you have already seen in your school lab. A bar magnet is a long rectangular bar of uniform cross section which attracts piece of iron, steel, nickel and cobalt. We usually use bar magnets for performing practicals in science laboratory. On the basis of magnetic properties, all the materials have been divided into three types, and those types are diamagnetic materials, paramagnetic materials and ferromagnetic materials. What are these diamagnetic materials? The materials which are weakly magnetized in the direction opposite to that of the magnetic field in which they are placed are called as diamagnetic materials. For example, copper, gold, hydrogen, bismuth, antimony, air, water, etc. All these are called diamagnetic because magnet cannot attract these type of materials. That is why they are called as diamagnetic materials. Based on the attraction only this categorization is done. So students, don't think that there are few new terms which are very difficult to understand. Diamagnetic is something, a magnet which cannot attract. By seeing the examples, you can come to a conclusion that what are diamagnetic materials. Coming to paramagnetic materials, the materials which are weakly magnetized, that means weakly they attract to magnet. They are called as paramagnetic materials. Example, aluminium, platinum, uranium, chromium, salts of iron, nickel, oxygen, copper sulfate, etc. And the third type is ferromagnetic materials. What are these ferromagnetic materials? The materials which are strongly magnetized, that means a magnet can attract these materials completely. So with a strong force, these type of materials are attracted towards magnet. That is why it is called as ferromagnetic materials. And the example is iron, and few more examples are nickel, cobalt, etc. These materials, that is iron, nickel and cobalt, can attract with magnet very easily. So hope you understood. There are three types of materials based on the magnetizing property. Something which cannot be magnetized is called diamagnetic. Something which is weakly magnetized is called paramagnetic. And something which is strongly magnetized is called ferromagnetic. Hope it is clear to you all. Now you will be learning the properties of magnet. You already know that magnet will attract few materials and those materials are called as ferromagnetic materials. And what are the examples of those? The examples are iron, nickel and cobalt. So the first property you understood by the meaning of magnet itself. The first property is attractive property. Magnet attracts ferromagnetic materials like iron, cobalt and nickel. So this is the attractive property of magnet. And coming to repulsive properties, any magnet will have two poles near its ends, north pole and south pole. The end of a freely suspended magnet will always rest towards north. That is called as directive property. Why it is going to rest like that, you will study in this session only towards the end. So, but as of now, you should be knowing that any bar magnet or any magnet will have two poles and those poles are north pole and south pole. So, what happens is when you bring two magnets together, that is closer, if you bring north pole closer to south pole, they attract. But if you bring north pole closer to north pole, they move away. This is called as repulsive property. So, like magnetic poles repel each other and unlike magnetic poles attract each other. So, this property is called repulsive property. Hope all of you know the meaning of repulsive. And the next one is directive property. As I told you all already, any freely suspended magnet which has two poles, that is north pole and south pole, if you suspend a magnet freely, it will always point towards north-south direction only. This is one of the important properties that you should know about any magnet. You can see in the picture down, the third picture, a freely suspended magnet is always pointing towards north-south direction only. Why it is, you will learn in this session only. Don't worry about that. But as of now, you should be knowing the directive property of magnet is any freely suspended magnet will always point in north-south direction. And the last property is inducing property. This magnet has a special property. Hope all of you played with coins and magnet. What happens when you take one coin, like for example a steel coin of 1 rupee or 2 rupee, and you take a strong magnet, the coin will definitely attract. Now bring close another coin to the coin which is already attracted. Though there is no connection between the second coin and the magnet, the coin will start attracting to the previously attracted coin. Similarly, if you add few more coins, it forms a chain. Have you observed that? You can see the last diagram here in right side corner. So like this, what happens is temporarily the magnetism is induced in those coins. Here you can see iron nails are attracted one behind the other because of the magnet. What happens is all the nails which are attracted acts like magnet. And when the magnet is separated from the first coin or first nail, whichever is attracted, it will stop falling down. It will start falling. That is because it is temporarily magnetized. And this property is called inducing property of magnet. Hope you all understood all the properties of magnet. The first one is attractive property, and it will not attract all the materials. It will attract only ferromagnetic materials. And the second one is repulsive properties. That is, the like poles of magnet repel each other. That means they move away. And the third one is directive property. That is, any magnet which is freely suspended will always point in north-south direction. And the fourth one is inducing property. That is, temporary inducing of magnetism into ferromagnetic materials. This is the fourth property. Dear students, you should write all these in your classwork without fail after watching the session. Now you will be studying about magnetic field. Just as an electric charge creates an electric field, in the same way, a magnet creates a magnetic field around it. The space surrounding a magnet in which magnetic force is exerted is called as a magnetic field. A compass needle which is placed near a magnet gets deflected due to the magnetic force exerted by the magnet. All of you tried this in 7th standard also, isn't it, in your science lab? And the iron filings also cling to the magnet due to the magnetic force. The magnetic field pattern due to a bar magnet, you will be learning that now after this. So first you should be knowing what is a magnetic field. So what is a magnetic field? The space surrounding a magnet in which magnetic force is exerted is called as a magnetic field. The magnetic field has both magnitude as well as direction. The direction of the magnetic field at the point is the direction of the resultant force acting on the north pole placed at that point. The north end of the needle of a compass indicates the direction of the magnetic field at a point where it is placed. You will learn this in detail when you do the experiment, that is to trace the magnetic lines around a bar magnet. You will learn that in this session only. So hope it is clear to you all what is magnetic field. You can just remember like this: the space surrounding by a magnet in which magnetic force is exerted is called as a magnetic field. A magnetic field is described by drawing the magnetic field lines. When a small north magnetic pole is placed in the magnetic field created by a magnet, it will experience a force. And if the north pole is free, it will move under the influence of the magnetic field. The path traced by the north magnetic pole free to move under the influence of a magnetic field is called as a magnetic field line. So to say in simple words, you can say the magnetic field lines are the lines drawn in a magnetic field along which a north magnetic pole would move. The magnetic field lines are also known as magnetic lines of force. The direction of a magnetic field line at any point gives the direction of the magnetic force on a north pole placed at that point. You can see in the diagram, it is very clear. Since the direction of the magnetic field line is the direction of the force on a north pole, so the magnetic field lines always begin from the north pole to a magnet, north pole of a magnet, and end to the south pole of the magnet. You can see that clearly in the diagram. And how do you trace these lines? Using a bar magnet and iron filings. You will learn that now. Now, how will you plot the magnetic field pattern due to a bar magnet by using iron filings? You will learn this by an experiment. Place a card which is thick or stiff enough to stand without bending itself. You should place this card over a strong bar magnet as shown in the figure in the left side. Sprinkle a thin layer of iron filings over the card with the help of a sprinkler, or you can just sprinkle using your fingers. After sprinkling, just gently tap the card. The iron filings arrange themselves in a regular pattern as shown in the figure in the left side. This arrangement of iron filings gives us a rough picture of the pattern of magnetic field produced by a bar magnet. The bar magnet exerts a magnetic field all around it. The iron filings experience the force of magnetic field around it. You can see that clearly in the diagram. You can also see the pattern of iron filings. The force of magnetic field of the bar magnet makes the iron filings to arrange themselves in a particular pattern. Under the influence of magnetic field of the bar magnet, the iron filings behave like tiny magnets and align themselves along the directions of the magnetic field lines. Thus, the iron filings show the shape of magnetic field produced by a bar magnet by aligning themselves with magnetic field lines. But how can you trace this? You can trace using a magnetic needle. A compass is a device which shows the directions. That is, a compass is a device used to show the magnetic field direction at a point. You can see in the right side picture. A compass is also called as a plotting compass. A compass consists of a tiny pivoted magnet, usually in the form of a pointer, which can turn freely in the horizontal plane. It is enclosed in a non-magnetic metal case having a glass top so that you can see the directions of the pivot inside. The tiny magnet of the compass is also called as magnetic needle. Make note of that. The ends of the compass needle point approximately towards the north and south directions. When the compass is placed in a magnetic field, then a force acts on it and it is deflected from its usual north-south position. Therefore, the compass needle gets deflected when brought near a bar magnet because of the bar magnet exerts a magnetic force, which is itself a tiny pivoted magnet. We can trace the magnetic field lines around a bar magnet by using a plotting compass. You can just keep moving. I'll explain it how. So first you should place the compass, that is magnetic compass, towards the north pole, that is on the north pole of the bar magnet. You can see the deflection upwards. So mark that point using a pencil. Then take the magnetic compass and place on the point which you marked now. And when you keep doing this, you will be getting a circle which connects north to south. So in this direction, if you draw the arrow marks and you join all the arrow marks, it will be a curve from North Pole to South Pole. This is how you trace magnetic field lines of a magnet. You can try this in your home if you have a small compass, that is magnetic compass, or a magnetic needle and a bar magnet. When you all are back to school, you can definitely do this experiment in your school lab. The magnetic field lines leave the north pole of a magnet and enter its south pole, and it is a closed curve. In other words, each magnetic field line is directed from the north pole of a magnet to its south pole. So each field line indicates at every point on it the direction of the magnetic force that would act on a north pole if it were placed at that point. Now, how can you decide the strength of a magnet? The strength of a magnetic field is indicated by the degree of closeness of the field lines. You can see here there are two diagrams. You can see that the lines are not that close in the first diagram and they are very close in the second diagram. That means the first magnet is not having that much strength in its magnetic properties. The strength of the magnetic field of a magnet is indicated by the degree of closeness of the field lines. Where the field lines are closest together, the magnetic field is strongest. So you can say the second diagram where the magnet is there, it is stronger compared to that of the first magnet which is in the left side, because the degree of closeness of the magnetic field lines is very close in case of second diagram and it is very far in case of first diagram. So by this you can decide the strength of the magnet. So what do you understand by this? The strength of the magnetic field is indicated by the degree of closeness of the field lines. So now we all know what is a magnet, what are ferromagnetic materials, what is a magnetic field, and what are the field lines, that is magnetic field lines of force. So now you should be learning the properties of magnetic field lines. It can also be told as characteristics of magnetic field lines of force. The first property is the magnetic field lines originate from the north pole of a magnet and end at its south pole, but they are continuous. So it is a closed curve and the direction is from north to south. So if you have a doubt, how can you say that it is continuous? Means inside the bar magnet also the lines of force exist. So that is, inside the magnet the direction will be from south to north. Outside the magnet it is going to be from north to south. And it is a closed curve and it is a continuous curve. Second property, the magnetic field lines come closer to one another near the poles of a magnet, but they are widely separated at other places. You saw those in the diagrams which you saw previously, isn't it? Near the poles, the field lines were crowded, and as they move away from the pole, it will be widely spread. So the magnetic field lines come closer to one another near the pole, but they are widely separated at other places other than the poles. A north magnetic pole experiences a stronger force when it approaches one of the poles of the magnet. This means the magnetic field is stronger near the poles. From this we can conclude that where the magnetic field lines are closer together, it indicates a stronger magnetic field. On the other hand, when magnetic field lines are widely separated, then it indicates a weak magnetic field. And the third property is the magnetic field lines do not intersect each other. This is due to the fact that the resultant force on a north pole at any point can be only in one direction. But if the two magnetic field lines intersect one another, then the resultant force of a north pole placed at the point of intersection will be along two directions, which is not possible because there is only one tangent at a one point on a circle, isn't it? So these lines will never intersect. Hope it is clear to you all with all the properties of magnetic field lines. When you studied about the directive property of magnet, I had told you all that a freely suspended magnet always points in the north-south direction, even in the absence of any other magnet near it. Isn't it? That is the directive property of magnet. I had also told you all that you will learn the reason why it is like that. This is because the earth itself behaves as a magnet, which causes a freely suspended magnet or a magnetic needle to point always in a particular direction, that is north and south. The shape of the earth's magnetic field resembles that of an imaginary bar magnet. You can see in the right side diagram. The north geographical pole and the south geographical pole of the earth you can see in the diagram, and whenever a magnet is suspended freely, what happens is the north-south direction, that is the north of the bar magnet whichever is suspended, points towards the south of the geographical pole. The south pole of the earth's magnet is in the geographical north because it attracts the north pole of the suspended magnet. Similarly, the north pole of the earth's magnet is in the geographical south because it is attracted by the south pole of the suspended magnet. Therefore, earth itself is a magnet. There is a magnetic S pole near the geographical north and a magnetic N pole, that is north pole, near the geographical south of the earth. The positions of the earth's magnetic poles are not well defined on the globe. They are spread over an area. The axis of the earth's magnet and the geographical axis do not coincide with each other. The axis of earth's magnetic field is inclined at an angle of about 15 degrees with the geographical axis. Due to this, a freely suspended magnet makes an angle of about 15 degrees with the geographical axis and points only approximately in the north-south direction always. So what can you say from this? A freely suspended magnet does not show exact geographical north and south because the magnetic axis and geographical axis of the earth do not coincide. So it will approximately show the direction of north-south direction. So you can say earth is a huge magnet. So hope it is clear to you all why a freely suspended magnet will be resting in the direction of north-south. That is because earth itself is a magnet. In this picture you can see the angle between the geographical axis and the magnetic axis. Even in this diagram you can observe the magnetic lines of force around the magnet which are imaginary. You cannot see any lines, but you can just come to a conclusion that the lines of force originate from south magnetic pole and they move towards, that is they go close towards north pole and it is merged there. So these are imaginary magnetic field lines around our earth because earth itself is a huge magnet. So now you will be learning the magnetic effect of current, which is also called as electromagnetism. The magnetic effect of current was first discovered by the scientist Hans Christian Ørsted, whom we usually call H.C. Ørsted. He discovered this in 1820. You should also be knowing that he was a scientist who discovered aluminium. Ørsted found that a wire carrying a current was able to deflect a compass needle, where the compass needle was acting like a tiny magnet which can be deflected only by the magnetic field, isn't it? Since a current carrying wire was able to deflect a compass needle which was brought near the wire, so it was concluded that a current flowing in a wire always gives rise to a magnetic field around it. So this was first discovered by Hans Christian Ørsted through his experiment which is called as Oersted's experiment. The importance of magnetic effect of current lies in the fact that it gives rise to magnetical different fields, that is mechanical forces. The electric motor, electric generator, telephone, radio, all these utilize magnetic effect of current. The magnetic effect of current is also called as electromagnetism, which means electricity produces magnetism. So in this experiment, basically you should know that a current flowing in a wire, and if you bring a compass near the wire, it will show deflections. That means what? A magnetic field is there around the wire. Usually a compass can show deflection only when it is brought close to a magnet, isn't it? But in his experiment he found that other than a magnet, if you bring close a compass, that is a magnetic compass, near a current flowing wire, it showed deflections. That means a current flowing in a wire also produces magnetism. So this is the result of his experiment. But how did he conduct this experiment? You will study in detail now. So in this experiment, he took a thick insulated copper wire and fixed it in such a way that the portion of the wire is in the north-south direction as shown in the figure. A plotting compass is placed under the wire. The two ends of the wire are connected to a battery through a switch. When no current is flowing in the wire, the compass needle is parallel to the wire. You can see that in the diagram. Now by passing the electric current through the wire and pressing the switch on, we can see the deflection in the compass from its north-south position to another position, and when the current is switched off, the compass needle returns to its original position, that is parallel to the wire. We know that a freely pivoted compass needle always sets itself in the north-south direction. It deflects from its usual north-south direction only when it is acted upon by another magnetic field. So, the deflection of the compass needle by the current carrying wire in the experiment shows that an electric current produces a magnetic field around it. It is this magnetic field which deflects the compass needle placed near the current carrying wire. If we reverse the direction of the electric current flowing in the wire by reversing the battery connected, what will happen? We can find that the compass needle is deflected in the opposite direction. This shows that when we reverse the direction of electric current flowing in the wire, then the direction of magnetic field produced by it will also be reversed. But how can you remember these directions? You can remember using this snow rule. Now what is the snow rule? The direction of the deflection of magnetic needle can be easily determined by snow rule. According to this rule, when current flows through a conductor from south to north direction and the wire is held over magnetic field, then the north pole of the magnetic needle deflects towards the west. That is SNOW. Snow rule. You can read this again so that it is going to be easy to understand what is the snow rule. Here the word snow is used as an acronym for south, north and west direction. You can pause the video and read this again so that you can understand the directions easily. You don't have to memorize this snow rule. This is only for you all to understand the direction of the magnetic field. But if you are able to understand without this rule, then it is fine. You don't have to think too much about this rule. You should be knowing when you reverse the direction of current, the magnetic field, that is deflection of the compass, will also be reversed, that is in opposite direction. So this is your Oysterd's experiment, which was conducted by the scientist Hans Christian Oersted. He was the first person to detect that there is some relationship between magnetism and electricity. That means electricity can produce magnetism. Hope it is clear to you all. Dear students, now it is assignment time. So what you all have to do is, after watching the session, I hope all of you made note of the important points that you studied today. Along with that, you can start writing the notes and you can complete this assignment also in your classwork. I will be sending the notes in your WhatsApp group. But I want all of you to make note of the content of this chapter in the beginning of this chapter. After that, important points and then with the assignment. You can continue with the notes when it is sent in your WhatsApp group. See you all in the next session. Thank you.